What's up, everybody? Welcome to a PlayStation Conversation. I'm Greg Miller, and this is the pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
Yeah, on to you, Greg.
Colin, we're finally back in the office after this whole E3 shenanigans, and one of the things that stands out to me is how good the PlayStation 4 first-party exclusives looks. You know, you saw them back in February, we saw a whole bunch of next-gen games at E3, but good God, Infamous. Second Son looks amazing. The way his jacket animates, the way he floats around the city.
He's floating.
Oh my God!
Seattle.
What did you take away from these new demos?
Well, so I played a lot of these games. Now we've all got hands-on PlayStation 4, and first of all, the controller is really nice, really great.
DualShock 4.
I'll tell you what.
Ooh, doggies.
But there are four exclusives. Goldfarb played Drive Club, so I won't talk much about that.
You can hear about it on Podcast Beyond every Tuesday on IGN.com.
I don't really like racing games anyway. But the other three games, Knack, Killzone, Shadowfall, and Infamous Second Son, are all really cool in their own special way. Let's start with Killzone, though.
Okay.
Killzone Shadowfall. You saw Killzone Shadowfall.
I did the demo on the live show. I saw some of the stuff during the conference. Again, I was super happy that they showed a new demo that still didn't look anything like the old Killzones. That was the big thing about the February event, is that they came out and it was this, glistening city. It was very pretty. I was like, we're getting away from the muds and the dirts, and then it exploded, kind of looked like it.
Dirts, yep.
But no muds and dirts at E3 either.
Yeah, so Killzone was probably the game I saw and played the most at E3, and I actually handed the controller off to the guy at Gorilla once because the game's really hard. Like Killzone games are really known for like their spongy enemies and their really heavy feel, and this game has a lot of that. But there's a lot to know and remember on the controller because it doesn't control like Killzone 2 and 3, and I think that's what's really cool about it. There's a thing called Owl in the game. Did you see?
I heard all about Owl. Yes.
So Owl's like a little computer device that you utilize to like shock enemies or hack computer terminals. And
it's like your perk, right? Like your traveling little perk.
Yeah, exactly. And it's controlled on the touchpad and on the D-pad. I'm a huge critic of Killzone. I think those games are really good mechanically. I think that they never took advantage of their story and their plot, and they all kind of look the same. Shadowfall looks really, really promising. I was really surprised by it. Oh, by the way, Killzone Mercenary, just really quick on Vita, also really cool. Definitely keep an eye out for that game.
Can't wait for that
really, really excited about that game. So next up, we'll talk about Knack.
Knack.
Knack comes from
Got a knack for it.
Mark Cerny.
Got some knickknacks over there.
Yeah, knick-knack.
Knick-knack, paddywhack, buy a Colin a bone.
Oh, my God.
Have we talked enough about Knack?
Yeah, that's on the Infamous. So Knack comes from Mark Cerny and Studio Japan.
Right.
It's got, Mark Cerny was really instrumental in bringing a lot of like kind of the cartoony platformers to PlayStation back in the day. Spyro, Ratchet, all these kinds of games. He had his hands on all these games. And Knack feels a lot like an old game, and in a really good way.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any expectations from it because it really looks kind of like a throwaway title at first, frankly. But it's a lot of fun. It feels a lot like it's got that personality of Ratchet and Clank, really. And it's linear and it's really made for kids and it's very accessible, and they're making it accessible intentionally to kind of get your family maybe to play a game.
Yeah, that's
you
what
have
he was talking about on the
Killzone, they
live
have Knack. But Knack was really cool. I'm excited. I'm really much more excited about it. It really wasn't on my radar other than like it's just this kind of game from Studio Japan. No one really is interested in it, but I was surprised by it.
Yeah, Mr. Cerny came on the IGN live show there, talked to me a little bit about Knack, and that's what he was saying, right? Is that Knack's purpose is to show that at launch the PlayStation 4 isn't just about shooting. It can give you these like CGI movie quality experience, like a Pixar kind of story. That's, I think, Josh Keaton revealed that on Up at Noon here that he's in the game. He's playing the 15-year-old boy, and it looks like it's going to be this interesting Pixar-like story, right, of getting to know this little metal man who can get big, he can get small.
He does get a little small, but yeah, he's cool. Knack's cool. Maybe he's going to be like a new character that gets some traction. I don't know.
I bet he won't. I bet this game won't sell and won't do much, but
we'll see. Well, that beside Killzone.
It's this year's Super Rub-a-Dub. This generation's Super Rub-a-Dub.
I hope not.
But now let's get to the cream of the crop. Infamous Second Son. Colin, I'll tell you. I went into this demo, and everybody knows I'm a Killzone fan. I sat down.
You're an Infamous fan.
Yes, that's right. Infamous fan. I don't even know. I'm such a fan. I'm a big fan of that.
You can't remember
that old Cole Magilla or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Big fan. Sat down, and I was expecting to love it, but I like the way it looked, just the way it moved. It was the first game that I saw in person, and I was like, this looks like next gen. This looks like something the PlayStation 3 couldn't do. In the way that Sucker Punch, I think, is matured as a studio, right? The fact that you saw talking to Troy Baker, that they're using the camera in front of him now. They're getting all his facial animation. They're moving away from the comic book cutscenes of the old Infamous that kind of pigeonholed it.
Yeah. So the thing about, I agree with you. The thing about Second Son when you see it in person is that it has really fine production values, and Sony gave Sony owns Sucker Punch, and they gave them their own mocap studio finally for this game because they see something in them, I think. And Infamous and Infamous 2 are all about their gameplay and really these open world sandbox mechanics. And Infamous Second Son is very much like that, but it looks a lot different, like you said. Like, it really looks next gen, and you just see cutscenes that just look so un-Infamous 2.
Exactly.
Like the cutscenes look beautiful. It's going to tell more of a story now. Obviously, Infamous and Infamous 2 had this dueling story, like kind of choice-based gameplay that's going to be in Infamous Second Son. So there was a story there, but it didn't look like this, and I think that's what's most promising. Of course, Delson Rowe is a different character than Cole too, and I think that's really cool. He's arrogant and brash, and he
loves his powers.
He loves having
being a
superpowers. He's the exact
That's awesome.
opposite of Cole.
There's that move when he's jumping up to do his, giant superpower, the smash. I forget for some reason, and he just smiles at the camera. There it is. Yeah, the orbital drop or strike. He's doing that. He does that smile at the camera, and then comes down and destroys everything. Like, that is rad.
It's very neat. Definitely keep your eye on Infamous. And of course, Greg, before we even wrap up, there are 2 other games that we saw briefly but didn't get to play.
Okay.
The Witness, Jonathan Blow's game. This is not an exclusive, but it is a timed exclusive. Very weird. Not really sure about this game right now. It's an open world puzzle game, which is cool, non-linear, but the puzzles are really kind of like one-trick ponies in a way. Not super. They're basically boxes where you're going around like almost like a labyrinth or a maze to like unlock new parts of the game. It's very complex, very complicated. I think it's intelligent and well designed, but I'm not really sure how this game's going to hit.
Hard demo to show, I'd imagine. Right? Hard game to demo at a loud conference. Here's how now we're going to trace these lines. That's not really.
I think it's an ambient game. I'm excited to play it and kind of see it for myself. And then the other game that I'm really excited about is Ready at Dawn's The Order 1886.
The Order.
I talked to the studio head, the guy who made the game. You can see that on IGN.com. We didn't see any gameplay, but we did get about 15 minutes to talk to him. So we know that the game's like a third-person action game. It's linear, and it's very story-driven. It takes place in London. The Order is kind of this worldwide order. The IP is made to be made bigger, I guess, in 1886 is hits, but 1886 specifically takes place in London. So we'll have more on that soon. Ready at Dawn, of course, did the God of War games on Vita or on PSP. So their pedigree is quite high as well.
Okay.
So keep an eye on all those games here on IGN.
Everything PlayStation. You never need to go anywhere else. Don't do it. Beyond.
Yeah.